I like the Colts on the money line over the Chiefs. I like the Packers on the money line over the Bucks. I like the Broncos at home on the money line over the 49ers. And Monday night, I like the Cowboys to go in the MetLife and beat the Giants outright. So I have the Cowboys on the money line. All four of those come in 29.70. Just let me hit one of these parlays all year long, and it'll all pay off. And I'm thinking this could be the one right here. All right, everybody, good afternoon. Welcome in on this Friday, week 5, Sharpening the Edge, along with Brandon Justice, who, there he is, on his way to Iowa City. You don't just think he magically gets in like the transfer portal and shows up in Iowa City. He's out there rubber meeting the road, which is going to happen tomorrow in Iowa City. And we also have Lucus Reimink, who is back for another week, and we're ready to give you 9 different picks, including Michigan State, the Lions, 3 picks, a parlay, a prop, and a lock of the week. Gentlemen, how are we? No?
Oh, lost Justice.
We lost
there
Justice.
He is.
What's up with this?
No, there he is. There you go.
I'm cursed with mics. My mic at home. What I was going to say was I was going to make a joke about how I won't have any microphone issues finally. But here we are. I'm not feeling great. I've been under the weather all week, so my throat's a little bad. So shorter segments, been a little short-winded to the picks today, which most people will probably appreciate, knowing me. But other than that, great. Other than that, excited. On the road to Iowa in the passenger seat, so safe and sound here on Sharpening the Edge, ready to make some picks.
Well, I can remember driving down in 2005. You know, my first experience heading into Iowa, and I looked around, and it was like, wow, there's a lot of cornfields. And, you know, I think that's what you're going to see. A lot of corn.
Yeah, I'm not expecting anything too scenic. I'll go to Orlando after the season, maybe.
That's right. All right, well, let's jump right into it. I can tell you that last week I was 3-6, but as you heard there in the open, one of those 3 was a 4-team underdog parlay that paid off big. And, man, I as soon as I did it, on Monday night, there was still 4 or 5 minutes to go in that Monday night game against the Giants. And even though the Cowboys were up double figures, I do something that I wouldn't recommend to people. Not that I screenshotted where I was at. I sent it to you guys before it was a final. Then, of course, the Giants scored. Next thing you know, I'm like, that's not something that you want to do. But I hung out there and I made it to the finish line, so I feel good about that. But I'm 3-6 on the week. Lucas, what were you?
Not much better. I was actually worse. I was 2-7, but the weird thing is 3 of my 7 losses were by 1 point, like 1 point lost the game, literally. So those were tough breaks. I felt like I was on the right side of all of them, to be honest with you. Just didn't have to break my way. So that happens in sports betting sometimes.
It does. To me, it happens more often than not. We'll pour one out for you. Justice had a fabulous record. And you know, he was rolling. He was 7-4 with his parlay, 2-1 in the NFL. 4-3.
Yeah, it was a good bounce back week. We needed it after week 1, and we forecasted it. We said it was going to come soon enough, so it was a good week. But need to build on it. The parlay was kind to us. San Diego State was a good one. Midwest team off a tough loss going to the West. I just love that system. So we might ride it again this week. Who knows? But yeah, it was a good week, good bounce back week. But I don't know. The board was a little piggy choosy this week in comparison to last, so we'll see.
All right, well, let's start like we always do with the Michigan game, first road game in Iowa for the Wolverines, 4-0, and at last check, they are a 10.5-point favorite. I'm going to go first. I like Michigan in this one, 24-13, narrowly covering the 10.5. That would also be under, but I like Michigan minus 10.5. What about you, Lucas?
Yeah, so for the first few weeks of the season, I've been sort of working on my own power ratings, which is how Vegas sets the lines. So I went through, I've only got like 6 teams done because it's a very painstaking, it takes a long time to do it because you have to have thorough knowledge of every team that you build a power rating on. And my power ratings have Michigan as 11-point favorite here. So, you know, you take in, that's on a neutral field, sorry. So you take in like the road aspect of it, I'd bring it down to like 7.5, 8, 8.5, somewhere in that range. So I don't see a ton of value there to take either Iowa or Michigan. I'm just going to let that be But I do really like the Iowa team total under 15.5 here. So that's going to be my play. I just think the strength of Michigan's defense is stopping the run. I think that's what they're really good at. Probably like, I don't know, top 15, maybe top 10 in the country. So I'm just stopping the run. To me, I think that's how Iowa is going to attack this game, is they want to turn it into a rock fight, field position. They don't want Michigan to really get out and make this into a track meet. So I think they're going to try and run right at Michigan's defense, and I just don't think they're going to have a lot of success doing that. And I don't think Petrus will have hardly any success throwing the ball in the air either, as he has pretty much every game as a starter there at Iowa. So I'll go Iowa, team total under 15.5.
Under 15.5 yards passing for Petrus too, or do you think?
Fairly, I'd go over on that one, but that's just too low. But
all right, the selection to the Road Warrior, Justice, Michigan minus 10.5.
I am going to go with the under in this game. The over in this game, because so many people have bet the under. The line's gone from 47 down to 42, so I think that there is some value in getting it at that number. So as far as the spread goes, it's too hard for me to touch. I think at 10.5, it just seems like the hook is getting bought down to 10, and then when it gets back out to 10.5, it's been bought all the way up to 11 and 11.5. So it's just floating around there. It seems like a game that's going to go in Michigan's favor based on that kind of movement. So if I had to pick one side, I'd go with Michigan's side on the spread. But the one I'm confident on here is the total and the over, because I think you're typically, when it gets bought down that low, you see that total kind of end up right around where it opened at anyway. So I think you're getting some value at 42.
42 is super low. Yeah. No kidding. All right. Let's go to the game that Michigan State's going to play. They're going on the road to Maryland. 2-2 Michigan State at 3-1 Maryland. This game started out at 7. I've seen it move up to 8.5. The latest I had 7.5. I'll make this selection. Every Michigan fan that I saw this week, they're all on Maryland. But you know, if pass defense means anything, and then watching Maryland throw the football mean anything, it's a huge matchup, or a huge mismatch going to the Terps way, being at home. I think Maryland will cover 7.5, 8.5. Heck, I think they'll cover 10. I like Maryland 35-20. Lucas.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to take Maryland laying the 7.5 here as well. Michigan State's secondary still really bad. They haven't really turned it around in the last year and a half. I don't really see any reasons that lead me to believe this week would be the week that they would get that back in order. I'm sort of with you. I think the spread is only at 7.5 because both Talia and their best receiver, Raheem Jarrett, are both dinged up from last week. So both, I don't know, maybe questionable, probable to play. Mike Loxley was pretty coy with the media, and he made some comment about no one in the Big Ten releases injuries, so why would he? But based on what I've read, based on what I've heard, it sounds like Talia and Jarrett are both going to play here. So that's why I like the minus 7.5 there. I'll lay the points.
All right, I kind of like that backup quarterback that the Terps had that we saw late in the game last week. What about you, Justice, the Michigan State at Maryland contest?
Yeah, I had to switch to no camera because I couldn't hear anything, and I need to hold the phone up to my ear when you guys are talking before I come in. So excuse my absence here video-wise. But I'm on Maryland, too, at 7.5. It's been out to 9.5 and bought back down to the 7.5, and I think that's the most valuable line. And so with it still being there, I like it. 9.5 is tough, but 7.5 I'll take. I just think the Maryland defense is a lot better than it was given credit for being last week. It wasn't just an offensive showing for them. Really, it was the defense that impressed me more than the other. And so far, that's been true for them all season. You know, they were projected to have S&P Plus had their defense, I think, 89th going into the year, and it's been a top 45 defense throughout, if not better. So I think their defense plays better than they're giving credit for it. And then I think offensively, there's such a mismatch for Michigan State that's just going to have a nightmare all night trying to figure out how to defend the play action and how well Maryland infuses that into their game plan. So I will take Maryland 7.5.
Oh, maybe that's where Mel Tucker got his nickname, Midnight Mel. Midnight Nightmare Mel up there in East Lansing. All right, let's go to the pros. We've been picking the Lions. You guys like picking them and like watching them cover. They've been great for you going all the way back to the opener against the Eagles. I'll kick this one off. No DeAndre Swift, no Amon-Ra St. Brown, no Sun God, no problem. I still think the Lions are going to win this game. They have to win this game. They lose this one, their season is over. Meanwhile, Seattle wants their season to be over, so Geno Smith can try all he wants. But I'm just going to take the Lions in this one, even with their top two playmakers being out of the game, because they are at home. I like it 24-17 Lions. Lucas.
Sure. I'm going to go with the under 48 here. Part of the reason that you just mentioned is all the injuries to the Lions offense here. No Swift, no Amon-Ra. 2 starting linemen are out as well. And then Geno Smith. On the other side, I'm not scared of him as an under better if Geno Smith is the quarterback on the other team. So I'll go under 48 for the game total here.
Understandable. The guy on the way to Iowa City's selection for the Lions.
So, Dennis, I kid you not. This is no joke. I tore off a piece of a Chick-fil-A drive-through bag and wrote down my notes for the show. And in my notes, it says no Amon-Ra, no Swift, no problem. So I think it's Sun God. That was a nice little spice up. I didn't get that one. The line's down to 3.5. Seattle's bad. The Lions are better than people think. They're without 2 skilled players. The linemen, that's tough too. I think the under might hit as well, but they're 14-6 against the spread. It's just so hard to pick against them. They're a money machine, proven to be. I'll ride with the Lions again this week.
Oh, wow. Those are going to be some famous last words. We might have to mark that one about the Lions in a money machine.
In Vegas.
Let's go right back to you before your Chick-fil-A wrapper gets smeared or anything. You're able to read your selections. We'll get your 3-pack of picks right now.
All right. So for my college 3-pack, TCU plus 5.5 against Oklahoma. I really like their quarterback, Max Duggan. He's been one of the more accurate quarterbacks, especially when under pressure this year. Oklahoma coming off of a loss against Kansas State. I know it's a bounce-back situation for them, but TCU's getting 5.5 points. I like it down to 3.5, so I'll take TCU. Tonight, a Friday night special, UCLA plus 2.5. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's been extremely good this season. Washington's had a tough schedule, a little bit of a gauntlet here. So I think I like UCLA at home in this one, plus 2.5. And then Northwestern and Penn State, I have the under here. Northwestern's offense is bad. Penn State's defense is really good. And Sean Clifford got injured last week and is questionable for this week. So interested to see what happens with him. Obviously, he's like that almost every week. But with all that being said, Northwestern and Penn State, that game was born to be under. It came out of the womb as an under, as they say. So that will be my 3 for college football. You want me to go into the NFL, or are we saving that one?
Well, we're going to save it for just a moment because we want Lucas to go opposite of some of your selections. I know he's ready to go.
He is. He's fired up. Kansas got me by 1 point. What a beat, huh? What a beat.
I know.
You little devil. I see you smiling.
You had USC, though, last week, didn't you? Or, you had the Oregon State covering. So I think we won 1, if I remember right. But
right. We split
anyways, I am going to fight you again. I like Washington minus the 2.5 here. Going to UCLA. I don't really factor in the UCLA home field advantage as being much of a home field advantage. I don't know if either of you have seen the pictures of the home crowd there at UCLA, but it has been pretty rough this year. And then UCLA has never really played any defense under Chip Kelly. They have a good offense. I agree with you there. But I just don't think they'll be able to keep pace with Penix and company, given that they don't really play much defense. So I'll lay the 2.5 on the road there for Washington. I'm going to take another West Coast game. I'm going to go San Diego State plus 6.5 against Boise State. For anyone who doesn't know, there's just a lot of turmoil going on right now in Boise, Idaho. They fired their offensive coordinator a week or 2 ago. Their starting quarterback entered the transfer portal a day or 2 later. So he is no longer with the team. It sounds like the head coach there for Boise State could also be on his way out before the season ends, just reading the tea leaves there. So that's really all of the signs that I need to go and bet San Diego State catching points on the road, plus 6.5. I like that. And then I'll go to the Big Ten, Nebraska, Indiana. Nebraska's catching 5.5. I think Indiana's really, really bad. It might be one of the worst Big Ten teams. And even though I don't love betting on Nebraska, I still think they have more talent. I think Mark Whipple in one of these games is going to start to get that offense back into a groove. And I think against this Indiana defense, I think it's a really good spot for it. So I'll go Nebraska 5.5 as well.
All right, Nebraska. Well, I'm going to that game that's going to be played tonight at the Rose Bowl as well. And I like Washington because of Penix and not having any home field advantage there in Pasadena. So I'm with Lucas taking Washington -2.5. You know where else they don't have home field advantage? At Ole Miss. Everybody likes to walk around the orchard or whatever they're doing over there. And it looks like a high school game when it starts. I like Kentucky outright, but they're getting 7 points to go to Ole Miss. So give me the Wildcats outright, but I'll gladly take the 7. And I'll go to the Big Ten as well, and I'm going to lay 7. Wisconsin, they're not the greatest team, but they got a great home field advantage. And I don't just see Illinois walking up there and keeping that one close. I like Wisconsin by double figures. So I like Wisconsin, Kentucky, and Washington in my trio of picks, which takes us back out to the road and Brandon Justice for his lock of the week.
All right, lock of the week. Say it with me. Brett Bielema. Illinois money line +220.
Whoa, money line.
Really?
Wisconsin. Brett Bielema, baby. Brett Bielema, baby. Can't even talk right now. Yeah, I just love the run fits. The scheme is they're going to play a lot of ball control. They're going to really Wisconsin the hell out of Wisconsin, in my opinion. And I think that it's going to be a glorious day for Brett Bielema. It just feels like that kind of game, that kind of moment. I think Illinois is a lot better this year than they were last year. I still think they're like a 6-6 at best, maybe 7-5 if it's like an insane year type of team, but very much so seems very 6-6. But Wisconsin doesn't seem much better than that, and I think the matchup and the get up that Illinois is going to have for a game like this, I like all of those things, and I'm going to go with Illinois money line, and I think I got it at, let's see here, +220.
A little revenge for Brett Bielema as well, right? Going back to
the
place he once was. Okay, let's go to Lucas for his lock of the week.
Sure. My lock of the week, I'm going to go another team total under here. I'm going to fade the Auburn offense. TJ Finley has been not good, and he is also hurt now. So they're going to roll with Robbie Ashford, who's essentially like a glorified Wildcat quarterback back there. He can't really throw the ball. And to make matters worse, they had at least their starting center and possibly one of their 2 tackles went down this week in practice. So they're missing possibly 2 offensive linemen and their starting quarterback. I just don't see them being able to put up many points against this LSU defense. And the total is 18.5. I'm not sure they even get to double digits. So I'll go under 18.5 total points there for Auburn.
I like it. For my lock, I'm going to the pros, and I'm going to Big D. The Cowboys did well for me on Monday night, and it's not really about Cooper Rush. He's doing a decent job, but it's about that Cowboy defense, in particular their pass rush. It's a menace. They're -3.5. They bring in the Commanders and Carson Wentz. I don't know. That looks like it's just a disaster waiting to happen. He might get sacked 10 times. I like Dallas easily in this one. That's why I'm laying the 3.5 for my lock of the week. For a parlay, I'll just jump right there and get into it. We got a parlay and prop left. I got my parlay right here, so I'll just throw it up on the screen. Oh, that was last week's when I hit it, and I was plus 29.70. This week, I just have a 3-teamer for you. I told you I like Kentucky outright. I'm also taking Wake Forest heading into Florida State to win that game on the money line to get +200 there. And then I'm taking Arkansas. I'm not the most confident in this one, but I like this, just how it plays out. And I get +660 for Kentucky and Wake outright. And then I get Arkansas +17.5. That is my parlay of the week. Let's go to Lucas for his.
Sure. I got a 4-team money line parlay, all college football. I'm going to take LSU to beat Auburn, Alabama to win against Arkansas, Nebraska to beat Indiana, and then Washington to beat UCLA. That comes out to +220. So that's what I'm going to roll with for the parlay.
All right. Justice, how about a parlay, and then you can come right back over the top with a prop.
I got a 1-game parlay for the Lions game. DJ Chark anytime touchdown scorer, and Jamal Williams anytime touchdown scorer. The odds vary quite a bit, but you're in the positive for sure.
Good.
Parlay, I've got Washington, the football team, +3. Sorry, Dennis.
Or
I guess you're welcome because I'll probably lose.
Yeah.
Kansas City, Tampa Bay, under, and the under in Arizona and Carolina.
Yeah, so obviously, go ahead.
Arizona, Carolina. I mean, Carolina's been playing really good pass defense all year. They've, done a good job locking down receivers. Granted, they haven't played many good quarterbacks when that's happened. Kyler Murray's not that good of a passer, so I don't think it's going to happen in this game. Arizona's been very slow in the first 3 quarters throughout the year. They've just
and we lost. But we have all of his picks, which is just fine. And so that gets me to my prop. I'm going to the Lions game as well. I was looking, DK Metcalf. It'll make it interesting in an otherwise not very interesting game. DK Metcalf, said something like, he's not all that big on Jeff Okudah or whatever. He gets help, safety help. So this is a matchup inside the matchup that I'm sure that they'll be talking about and tracking during the game. You got Metcalf I'm going under 61.5. And a little research here. The last time Metcalf topped 64 yards, you had to go to mid-season last year when he topped 64. At 61.5, that still applies. Jeff Okudah will be on him. I'll be able to root for Okudah and just root against DK Metcalf. So I'm taking the under 61.5 prop for DK Metcalf. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me. I'm going to go back to the Michigan game for my prop. I'm going to go Sam Laporta over 35.5 receiving yards. I'm kind of surprised it's this low, to be honest, because in their passing attack, he seems like he's almost their number one option. They don't really like to throw it out wide. It seems like the strength of Petrus, if he has a strength, is to throw to the tight ends, the security blanket, over the middle of the field. And to me, that's really the only way that I see Iowa be able to sustain any drives in this game is targeting the tight end and trying to run the football. I already stated that I don't think they're going to be able to run it very well. So I think they'll turn to Laporta a lot in this game. So over 35.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. I was watching a little bit of the Big Ten championship game last year, and Laporta was putting in some work in the first half. I agree with you. I don't think they have much there. He's one of the bright spots that they do have on offense. All right, Justice is on his way to Iowa City. We hope he has a safe trip. We hope he feels better as well. For you and I, Lucas, we just hope we turn things around and, start posting some W's. You can tell that we're not sharing our picks because a lot of these we're butting our heads at everything on these selections. So one of us should come out and look good next week. So great job. And as they say, the committee, good luck.
That's right.
All right. So thanks for watching or listening to Sharpening the Edge.